Do you ever feel overwhelmed or like you can't get it all done? Well, today's question comes from Stephanie J. and it says, I feel so overwhelmed. I need to know how you get it all done. You just seem like you get so much done. And some days I end the day and I just feel like I haven't moved the bar forward. I don't know what to do. And then I get so overwhelmed and I'm so focused on what I didn't get done that I don't even know where to start. It almost gets me into a state of inertia. So if you're like other successful people, you know that feeling, right? We're trying to be super mom, we're trying to be super wife, we're trying to be super producer. It is such a dangerous position to get into because let's face it, getting it all done is challenging, right? And if we don't have the right mindset or the right strategy or the right execution, it can be impossible. But one thing I know in my years of working with some of the most successful people in the world is that successful people do time management very differently than their peers. So if you want to learn what they do differently, stay tuned. So welcome, I'm Annette Bau, host of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I've been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn what millionaires with amazing lives do differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insight so that you can build a profitable business with more ideal, affluent clients, as well as create a financially free life you love. So let's dive in. Today we're diving into how to get more done so you can live your dream life. So please click subscribe and ring the bell and then comment. I want to know one thing that you're going to take action on from today's training. So before we dive in, our free resource for today is how to get your share of affluent women and couples guide. You can go to millionaireseries.com/AWG. Now this guide is going to give you some more insight on how to better leverage what you're doing, working with more clients who have more money so that you're able to have a better work-life balance and you're able to get it all done without killing yourself. So again, millionaireseries.com/AWG. And then that's going to take you to our upcoming training, our affluent women and couples training, how to get your share. And you can go to millionaireseries.com/affluent to register for that. But again, millionaireseries.com/AWG to access the guide. So for today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/131. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/MI. So the materials and intellectual property in this episode are copywritten by the millionaireseries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or healthcare advice. You've got to go to your own professionals for that advice. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless where results achieved or not achieved, and all international copyrights are reserved. So I did a training when I got this message from Stephanie that I'm going to share with you. And then after it, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a deep dive into a fast action, specific things you can do right now to move the needle forward. So let's dive into the training and I'll see you in a minute. So today we're going to dive into how do I get it all done? You seem to get everything done. I just sometimes feel so overwhelmed by everything and I don't know where to begin. So the first thing I'd like to say is I don't get everything done. In fact, it's such a myth to even believe that. The reality of it is that what I get done are the critical things. And so what I want you to do, instead of focusing in on getting everything done, I want you to focus in on getting the activities you need done that are critical. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to get out of the state of overwhelm. We were in Costa Rica for 3 weeks. We got back to being at our primary residence for 2 weeks where our children literally had sports every day. We had basketball and baseball. Yes, in 120 degrees, we're out watching baseball. And it's overwhelming, in addition to the fact of being one of the most busiest times in my business. So it can be so overwhelming. And now we're getting ready to go to our other home for the rest of the summer. So I was feeling really overwhelmed. And one of the things I did is I said we were going to normally leave today or tomorrow. I said, I'm just going to wait until Sunday. So I'm going to give myself an extra 2 or 3 days to just get a little more organized. But then the next thing is you've got to get out of that state of overwhelm where you just feel like unorganized and you feel like you can't do it. Because when you start getting into that state, you're going to be a lot less effective, you're going to be more unorganized, and you're going to be less productive. So to get out of that state, I encourage you to focus in on like focused breathing, silent meditation. For me, restorative yin yoga really helps. Chants can help.
Prayer can help. There's a lot of different strategies, but you got to get out of the overwhelm, because when you're in that overwhelmed state, it's very difficult to be productive. The next thing you want to do is you want to follow your daily routine. Ideally, you want to get your peak performance schedule, and you want to make sure you're following it. Are you getting adequate sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you exercising? Are you doing all that maintenance and that self-care that helps you create the foundation that's going to allow you to be productive? Because sometimes we have so many things to do that what ends up happening is we're not productive in our day. So we don't take the time to get enough sleep or to exercise or to create our T5 the night before. And what ends up happening then is we start the day not on ground zero, but like -5, and we're just trying to catch up. So we've got to make sure that our glass is full so that we can be at our best, so that we can operate at the level we need to achieve what we want. So that requires that you have really good self-care, and it requires that you follow your schedule. The schedule is so critical, because what you want to make sure of is that you're not just doing the activities that are like pressing or that are urgent. You want to be doing the activities that are critical for you to show up at your best and to achieve what you want to achieve. The third thing you want to do is you got to get really clear on what you want. I think a lot of times when we get overwhelmed or we get nervous, it's because we're not really clear on what we want. So for me, I know that even though I could easily stay at my office, for me it's really important that I am a great mom. And one of the things of being a great mom is to go and sit at the baseball game at 120 degrees or sit at the basketball game and watch your child play. And yes, it's fun, but it's really fun because you're there with them, you're there for them, and it pays you back huge dividends. So you've got to get really clear on what you want. You know, I want to be a good wife. I would like to be a great wife, but I aim for good wife, and hopefully my husband on most days would agree with that. But the reality of it is you've got to get really clear on what you want. And what does that mean? What does that mean to your partner? What do you need to do to show up at that? When is date night? When are you giving them time? And then as far as your business, what do you want to be? As far as your business owner, do you want to be a great business owner, a good one, an average, or a poor one? All of those things are critical, because once you know what you want to do, then you can execute on it. Now, the problem occurs, and I see this more with women than men, is trying to be perfect. You know, trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect mom, the perfect business owner. And what ends up happening is nothing great comes from that. So what you want to do is you want to strive for excellence, not perfection. The last thing you want to do is you want to get clear on what are the most important things you need to do the next day. So what I encourage you to do is to identify everything that's got to be done and then classify it. What really needs to be done and what's like, okay, this can be put off, or better delegated. Because a lot of times we're doing things that are low value activities or no value. Those things need to get off your plate. Once you're clear on what your high value activities are and you've written them down, you want to identify the top 5 things you have to do. And you want to do it before you leave your office. So ideally, clean your office. Whether you work at your home or you have an office, clean your desk. Make sure it's organized and identify what are the 5 most important things you've got to do. Look at your overall list. So you've identified everything that has to be done. Get clear on what's a high value activity, a low value activity, and a no value activity. Low value and no value need to be either delegated or removed. Once you've identified your high value activities, then what you want to do is you want to prioritize them. And the top 5 are what you're going to focus on getting done the next day. The key to that is once you've identified what your top 5 are, you've got your schedule with what appointments you have, then you want to fill in when are you going to do those high value activities? When are they going to get done? Because you want to get it in your schedule to ensure that you're going to increase the odds of actually getting it done. And then last but not least, and this is so important, identify consequences. Consequences for completing the activity and consequences if you don't. And make it fun. And don't be hard on yourself. Start with a 70%. So as long as you get 70 or better, you get to go to golf on Friday or you get a massage on Friday. If you don't do it, you have to write a check to some political organization you don't really like. So make it fun, make it exciting, but the key is those consequences can really help, especially before you get disciplined enough to make sure it happens.
So there you have it. So now what I want to do is dive into 5 immediate actions you can take to start getting results now. So the first thing is we don't get more done. What we do is we get the right things done. We are looking for maximum impact on what we do in our businesses and our lives. And in fact, the one thing I can say, guaranteed, successful people get less done than people that aren't successful. people that aren't yet where they want to be, people that aren't financially free. And one of the things that's critical in that is being able to focus, being able to get really clear on what you want to achieve and identifying what 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 tasks are going to best move the bar forward. And then really getting clear on what action you need to take to achieve your goal, as well as understanding that failure is really a part of success. Now, if you take the time to create a plan and get really clear on who you want to serve and you do research, you're going to dramatically reduce the odds of failing in who you're working with. But if you still do all the required upfront work, there are still going to be setbacks. And the issue of what you've got to get clear on is, am I willing to let go of this and stay focused on what I want? See, what most people do, what the untrained mind does, what people that aren't successful do, meaning when I say unsuccessful, you're not achieving your goal. It's not negative, it's just you're not yet where you want to be. You're obviously watching this, so you're on course to getting there. But the reality of it is, are you focusing on what you don't want, that failure, what didn't work out, what boulder came in your way, or are you focusing on what you do want, the impact of the lives you're going to have? What is it going to mean not only to your clients, but also to you when you achieve your goal? There's a myth we can get it all done. And the reality of it is, once I had kids, I really like having a clean house. I like having things tidy. I have just given up on having a perfect house. Yes, we have cleaners. Yes, we've all got responsibilities as far as what to do. But the reality of it is, my house is not going to be as clean, meaning picked up, as I'd like until my kids are completely out of the house. And after the pandemic, my younger son said, well, what if we run out of food? So he decided to take it upon himself to plant a garden. Now, I just want to let you know that these tomatoes we're having, which are actually really good, are probably cost us about $50 to $100 each. So he's got arugula, which is one of my favorite lettuces. He's got tomatoes, he's got peppers, he's got corn. We've had to transport it between our 2 homes. And we've eaten probably about 5 different items that he's bought. But oh my gosh, we have everything. And it was so chaotic at our other home. We built a platform up on our upper deck so that he could have everything there, kind of where it wasn't everywhere, where it wasn't where everyone was tripping over it. At our home, it's like my backyard has got more pots and more, it's just everywhere. And I feel like, hey, he's happy. He feels like he's really contributing. It's good for him now. Unfortunately, he's having to be at home with a school. It gives him something to do. But the reality of it is it's like things are not going to be perfect. And the sooner you can get clear on that, the more successful you're going to be. We've also got to look at our beliefs and make sure that our beliefs are in alignment with what we want to achieve. If we have issues with beliefs or self-esteem, that's our worth barometer. You can go to millionaireseries.com/105 for a deep dive into the worth barometer. But the reality of it is, when we try to get everything done, we don't get anything done. So what I want you to do is each day before you leave your office, I want you to identify 5 things you're going to get done the next day. You got to do it before you leave, and you need to have it in writing. That's going to put it in your subconscious mind so you can sleep on it, you can percolate on it. And what you'll find is you get that done 10 times faster than when you are getting in the office. All of a sudden a client calls, all of a sudden something happens in the market, all of a sudden something happens with one of your vendors, and before you know it, it's noon and you've got nothing done. You've got to be really focused on what you need to do that is going to best move the bar forward. And then ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now moving the bar forward? If the answer is yes, keep doing it. If the answer is no, simply ask, what can I shift? What do I need to do to move it forward? And then you've got to be realistic. You've got to be easy on yourself. You've got to understand that you've got to move forward. You've got to be taking the steps to get things done. And you know when you are and when you aren't. And then you got to let the other stuff go. I'm a lot more interested in the actions you take each day to get the results than I am your results. Because I know if you take the right action, you're going to ultimately get the results you want. The problem with so many people is they're so focused on results and they don't take the time to create the plan, to create the strategy, to work on their foundation so that they're doing what they need to do each day to move the bar forward to achieve what they want. And that's something we can all change. You've got to get clear on what you want. You've got to decide. So one of my favorite quotes is, you can have anything in life, you just can't have everything. But you got to get clear of what do you really want, personally and professionally. You then got to operate at peak performance. you got to quiet down your limbic brain. Getting really clear on what you want, and then you got to get in the driver's seat of your life so you can achieve your goals. Some of the things that you've got to do to operate at peak performance is get 7 to 8.5 hours of sleep a night. 60 to 90 minutes before you go to bed, turn off all electronics. Turn off anything that stimulates your nervous system. Either do your focus breathing, prayer, silent meditation, chants, anything along those lines. It's got to be positive. It's got to be above the grid. But all things are so powerful. Reduce or eliminate caffeine or anything that stimulates your nervous system. And then eat a really clean diet with a lot of organic vegetables, lean protein, healthy fat, complex carbohydrates, and then drink 50% of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 130 pounds, you're going to drink 65 ounces a day. If you do strenuous exercise, you're going to need to drink more. And then exercise, cardio. Ideally, we're doing 40 minutes to an hour a day. And then stretching, yoga. I do about 30 minutes a day, maybe a little more, 40. I do, 10,000 steps a day, so that ends up being about an hour. And then 3 times a week, weight training. One of the things I have recently started is weight training, and I'm determined to get firmer as far as my muscle mass, because that's really important. And the older we get, it becomes more important. So those are some things you can do so you get really clear on what you want and take action so you can get it all done, at least the important things done. So you got to decide on what you want, and then you got to be taking the action so that you can show up at your best and do what you need to do to get the important stuff done to move the needle forward. So you got to execute on your peak performance schedule. So you got to get really clear on what are your high value activities. These are the activities that are income producing and that are critical, meaning you need to do them. It could be lead generation. It could be writing the overview of your blog or the overview of your YouTube. Something that you need to do because you're the one that's got the expertise. You can delegate a lot of other things, but what do you need to do to move the needle forward? You go to millionaireseries.com/136, the interview with Tino. He shares that a lot of the things that he learned from my training were activities that were high value activities. He didn't realize it. Research. Understand really clearly the script of what he was saying. Relationship marketing. All those things that you think like, oh, those aren't really important. Yeah, they are. Now, do you need to do all of them? Research, yes. Relationship marketing, a lot of that you can delegate. All right, so high value activities are critical and they must be done by you. You've got to schedule them into your peak performance schedule. You can go to millionaireseries.com/success-planner to access our planner. Low value activities need to be delegated. They've got to be completed, but they've got to be delegated. You shouldn't be doing them. And then non-value need to be eliminated. Now, the reality of it is that too many people spend way too much time on non-value activities. Now, I'm not talking about rest and relaxation. I'm talking about activities like scrolling through social media, really just reading all the feeds, all the craziness, what's going on. Not ideal, all right? Now, you can go to the episode on rest and relaxation to learn more. Now, you can go down to the show notes at millionaireseries.com/131, and I'll have the link there for accessing that episode. But ideally what you want to be doing is you want to be doing at least 4 to 6 high-value activities a day. Now, we operate from power hours in our mastermind, and a power hour is 50 to 70 minutes of laser focus, followed by a 5 to 7 minute break. Ideally, you're having a break for about 5 to 7 minutes where you're moving your arms, moving your legs, and then for 3 minutes you're doing your focus breathing. Into the count of 8 through your nose, hold it for 8, and then release for 10, and then setting your intention for the next power hour. So 4 to 6 business and 1 to 2 personal. And personal are chants, yoga, meditation, even exercise. But make sure you're doing at least some activities, focus breathing, to quiet down your limbic brain so you get into the driver's seat of your life. That's how you get stuff done, and that's how you get clarity on what you need to do. All right, so let's do a recap. Number 1, you've got to master your ability to focus. You do that. Focus breathing is one of the most powerful strategies. Silent meditation too, but that's a lot more challenging. Focus breathing, if a great idea comes to you, just have a notepad, write it down, let it go. Into the count of 8, hold it for 8, release for 10 or 12. You can go to focus breathing, and again, I'll link to that in the show notes so that you can actually access that training because it's so powerful. The goal is not to get it all done. The goal is to get the important stuff done. You've got to get clear on what you want. That is absolutely essential to being able to achieve what you want. And then you've got to identify what are those critical activities you've got to do. Your high value activities, delegating the low value, and eliminating the non-value. You got to take the time to create a plan. You know, most people are so busy, they don't have the time to create a plan, whether it's a financial plan or whether it's a life plan or whether it's a business plan. They're just too busy. And what happens is they're so busy and they never achieve their goal. It's critical that you take the time to create a plan, you take the time to create a solid foundation, a winning strategy, and then you consistently execute. And last but not least, identify some consequences. For example, if you do what you're supposed to do, what happens? And if you don't? One of the most effective consequences is to donate to someone you can't stand, a political organization. I mean, right now, there's one thing for sure. There's somebody you probably love, somebody you can't stand. And for some of you, maybe not love, but somebody you're like, oh, I would never donate to that person. That will help you get stuff done. And you got to have a third party, because oftentimes I find that people don't do it. But we have people that donate to different organizations if they have to. Fortunately, most of them are like, I would cut my right arm off before I donate to that group. That's what you want, because when you're clear on that, what ends up happening is it gets you to do the activities you need to. Now, we want to get you to a place where you're so excited and motivated by what you do and who you serve that you don't need to do that. But until you get to that point, consequences are a great way to make it a reality. All right, the first thing you got to do is get clear on what you want, personally and professionally. You got to write out your goals. I am, or I, active verb. I earn $500,000 in year. I am an amazing mother. I am a great partner. Whatever your goal is, just be clear and ideally be balanced. List all the activities you need to achieve the goal, just ones that you can think of. And if you can't think of any, write it out. What are the activities I need to set to achieve my goal? And then answer it with your non-dominant hand. You'll find amazing things come up. But then what you want to do is you want to get clear on those activities, then you want to schedule them into your peak performance schedule. And ideally what you're doing, let's say you determine you have to make 10 warm calls each day. All right, from 9 to 10:30 a.m., I connect with 10 warm prospects. From 9:30 to 10 a.m., I make 10 warm calls. Whatever it is, I am, I active verb, and it needs to be measurable so that we can review it and verify that it actually occurred. I contact referral partners from 11 to 12 each day. Again, it's measurable. We know if you did it or not. Very important. And then schedule those high value activities into your peak performance schedule, and then evaluate each week what you've done, what didn't work, what you're going to change the following week, and then celebrate your successes. You know, the goal is, did you complete 80% of what you set out to achieve? If the answer is yes, great. If not, ask yourself, was it realistic? If you say, yeah, it was, all right, what are you going to do to change it? Now, initially, you may only be hitting 65%, but I have producers, literally top producers, that were doing like one high-value activity a day. And by simply adding, now they're doing 2, then they're doing 3, now some of them are up to 5. That's how you go from 100 million under management to 200 million, is by getting really clear on that and taking action on it. So please, click subscribe and ring the bell, and give me one comment that you're going to take action on right now. Before you go, I want to give you another resource. You can go to millionaireseries.com/affluent to access our upcoming Affluent Women and Couples Masterclass. In this class, I'm going to teach you the inside scoop of how you can better leverage your time and your resources so you can get it all done and better serve affluent clients. So again, millionaireseries.com/affluent. When you look at the results that our members have gotten, I mean, they're crazy, right? The one thing literally 95% have in common is they went through this training. millionaireseries.com/affluent. So please, I'd love to see you on that call, and I'd love to see you getting the results that you desire. So for today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/131. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/MI. So thank you so much for joining me for how to get more done so you can live your dream life. Now you have it. You just have to take action. Before you go, please click the training above. That training is specifically designed to help you on the next step. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the training. I'm Annette Bau, host of the Millionaire Insider. All international copyrights are reserved. I'll look forward to seeing you on the training. Bye for now.